Okay. Let's have to upload. Right, that's all done. I couldn't find a decent save piece of music that we could use, so I'm going with this one. Okay. So I'll see if this loops correctly, because it's the only one I could find. Yeah, we can use that one. Brilliant. Right. I played this yesterday. Got an hour and a half in it, the stream. Rage quitted. Went off, took a break, completed it off that, finished it. So I'm ready to give it a review, which I rarely do. I don't rarely do reviews, but this one needs to be done as a review. So where do I begin with this? It was fun. For the 1 hour and 24 minutes I actually played, and then the 20 odd minutes after I finished up with it, a lot of fun. Definitely got that old school approach, got the old school feel down perfectly. There is, however, one major flaw with this thing, and I'm going to point it out now, and it's the only flaw I will point out in this entire thing, because everything else is a plus. So the only con I can come up with for this entire demo at this precise moment in time is the amount of fucking puzzles that are in it. And that's me swearing, and I rarely swear. There is just too many puzzles for this demo, and it gets a bit convoluted. And people are probably going to be going, well, you definitely need puzzles in a Resident Evil game, because the old Resident Evil games have got the puzzles. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but you need it balanced out. You need it to be spaced out, not all within one concrete area. So that's one of the issues I've got with this, is the fact that there are just too many puzzles for what it's supposed to be. So I'm going to go for an example. I've written down notes for this. I always write notes when I'm doing stuff. So like the con at the minute is that there is too many. You've got the puzzles with the mask, you've got the bullheads, and then you've got the combination safe all on top of that, and it's like 3 different puzzles you've got to do. And fair enough, it is in a complex. It's in a motel, it's in, you know, a Day in Raccoon's motel, and obviously you're restricted to that environment. But it's just too many puzzles for said environment. They have to be spaced, or in one of the ideas I'm coming up with for it would be to randomise it so that you only have 2 of those 3 puzzles active at any one time in each scenario when people pick it. Not having all 3, only have 2, and allow it to randomise which 2 those are, because doing 3 of them and trying to figure stuff out on the go is a pain in the ass, because Elric had to actually tell me that to use the bullheads they have to both be in the bar. Now this is the point I have to point out with it now, and I'll show you what I mean, because I've done screen grabs for my own stream that I did yesterday. So if you just bear with me 1 second, and I'll pull up the image and I'll show you what I mean. Bearing in mind it should be able to show it all, so if you just bear with me. No, I want display capture, don't I? Right, so this is what I mean. So obviously, as you can see here, this one, it sticks out. I know something has to go here. I can put something on there. That'll trigger whatever event. Fair enough. That one's fine. The other one, no. It literally sticks at the background. And I don't know if I'm the only one that hasn't noticed this. I could not realise that this was actually a hook to put something on. Fair enough, you've got the trigger there that says something can be put up on here, but you just can't see that thing because it's part of the background render and it's not sticking out. So my suggestion would be for that puzzle would be to make that a 3D model, a very low poly hook, so you've got an indentation, an idea that something has to go on it, you just don't know what that is, and that's how you fix that puzzle. Because honest to God, I ran around it in my stream, as everybody saw, and I kept running around it. I had no idea that I had to go there, and I started to get burnt out very quickly just because of that one pissing hook. And that's the only issue I have with the entirety of this fucking demo, is the fact that there is just too many puzzles. That is my only issue with it. So yeah, that's my only issue I will take with that demo, is that fucking demo puzzle. The puzzles, there's just too many of them. Again, randomise it so that you're only doing 2 out of the 3. I got no problem with the puzzle design. The puzzle designs were frigging brilliantly executed, and I loved actually, you know, going through them all, getting the crystal to get the serpent stone. Obviously getting 2 of the heads and then obviously rotating them at the right angle so that it unlocks the thing to get the master key. Enjoyed doing that one. But those frigging bull hooks, I honest to God thought it was a glitch in the system, and I'd glitched it out. And if anybody watched the stream begin with, I did glitch the fucking game out, so it was a bit of a stressful day after playing through that for an hour and 24 minutes of that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was just those puzzles. Because as Eric was saying to me, you know, you did get to the part where you get the rope, and I looked and I'm like, what the fuck? What rope? What rope? What bloody rope? What the hell are you on about? Turns out it's all to do with the freaking bull things. Put the bull things in place, then drops down the rope. The rope then can be used in the motel room where you fight Zombie Alice, or encounter Zombie Alice, whichever way you want to go at it. Lets you go down to the dog thing, lets you get the next part of the puzzle. That was ingenious, by the way. I'm going to add that in a minute, though, because that's a pro. So this is what I mean by the con about it. It's just there's so many freaking puzzles, and people will argue with that. So that's my only con with the entirety of the demo. You just need to reduce the amount of puzzles that there is, or make it randomise it so that there's at least maximum 2 per scenario. That will fix that issue. Or, you know, just have decent eyesight compared to mine. Now I'm going to go on about the pros, because I know this has been getting a lot of flack. So I'm going to give flat back because I'm not having it take shit. So I'm going to go with the acting first. The acting is a pro because it's actually fucking brilliant. It's brilliantly executed. It is like listening to vintage Resident Evil games, which, you know, this is supposed to be. So let that be a lesson to you. But it's always funny when you hear Andrew doing the voice of Mickey, and now it's like in my head now. So every time I'm going to be looking at stuff for A Day in a Raccoon, or if we ever get the Outbreak build that actually has that still intact, that's all I'm going to be hearing. Oh, and speaking of acting, oh bloody hell, let's get that one up. I've just been literally ripping for my own stream, but I laugh so much at that. Poor old infected bloke going on about Omninutia, God Hand, and then Dino Crisis. It's like, yeah, you know, those other games that Capcom refused to bloody do. So yeah, I laughed my ass off at some of the stuff that was in here. Some of the scripting just made me laugh so much. And I can't fault it for that. It was really good. It was top notch. I can't find anything wrong with the acting because it's just like, you know, an old RE game would be. There are people bitching about into them. You can just basically go fuck yourselves because then clearly you don't know what the old games were like. This is the acting that it was. It's not supposed to be that all professional acting. Play the first game, play the one from '96, and come back and tell me how professional that acting is, because it's not. So for one thing, I won't have you slate the acting. It is good as it is, and I don't want it being changed. I don't think it needs to be perfected. It just needs to be embraced. Now I can go over the mechanics as well. I know I've gone over the RNG, so I'm going to mention that now. The fact that the puzzle for the paintings is randomised every time you start the scenario is a good touch. I mean, I knew about this anyway. So anyway, before any of this even got released, I knew that it was going to be some RNG stuff. So it was nice to just see it in action, because I played through it twice just to make sure. And yes, they do change. Every one of the paintings changes its numbers depending on when you play it. So that's cool. It's nice. It's a nice idea to make it fresh every time you play it. So if it is implemented into other puzzles, and brilliant, fair enough, that'd be cool. They using the crowbar on the boot of the car, the little mechanic there, the pressing the buttons, that was cool. I already saw that beforehand though, so I already knew that was coming. So. But that was fun to see in action. Tapping away at the keyboard, trying to get it to work. Because I was using keyboard and mouse, not control. I couldn't be bothered configuring it because I'd already buggered around with it, trying to set it up to do the stream. The other the entirety of like all the different mechanics, like, you know, when people go on about moaning about, oh, you know, it's going on about, you know, the mechanics of it all. But when I've been looking at like 5 to 6 pages of operation code for PS1 operation code for scripting of all of this, the amount of work that's gone into doing all these cutscenes just so people can slag it off. You can all fuck yourselves basically, because that's me defending this project. it's taking a long time to get those mechanics in. It's also taking a long time to get all the scripting in, because the scripting part is not easy at all, and this is coming from somebody who did used to mod, who's semi-retired, who doesn't do it as much as he used to, so I know how fucking complicated the scripting aspect can be for it. So there's that. So there was a whole bunch of like cameos. I'm pretty sure I saw Scully as a zombie, and I'm pretty sure that was mentioned before, but I've forgotten. Obviously the Alice zombie, which still makes me laugh because I think it found a decent part of canonicity in the whole RE canon, so we'll go with that. We'll have a bit of fun with that. And of course the Night of the Living Dead cameo, which was brilliant, and this is when I asked if it is the full film and it is actually just a minute of it, because otherwise I was just going to let it all stream through for the whole thing if it was there. But I think that would have made the file format be a lot higher. So yeah, that was actually a fun little thing. But I think it's just like the entire scenario is fun, because it's something that's never been done before. I mean, we know who Trent is from the book, and the books are brilliant, and it pisses me off that Capcom still haven't given us a true ending to that, because it was all building up. So just seeing it like as a prologue, having Trent being sent in, having the zombie from RE2 veer into the course, having him crash where he needs to be, and having it go from there, encountering all the different stuff that's going on, reading the memos, giving us a whole new set of lore to go through, which is obviously, as we know, the whole game is heavy on lore. You're always picking up files and puzzle solutions and all that. But the fact that you're learning a bit about, you know, that the employees there for Umbrella were at a day in Raccoon, using it as a cover, trying to be a mechanic, and then people were disappearing when they were going into the forest. Again, it's all been set up when the first game starts and continues onwards from there. So that was a nice touch too. Try to keep the lore close, but I'm not going to forgive you for calling it Bloody Nest, because that's what the remake is. We do not call it the Nest, we call it the Pissing Labs. I will not have it called Nest, I'm sorry. I don't care how much they try and change it in the remakes, it's the fucking Labs, not Nest. Nest is just their remakey way of saying it all. I will call it the Umbrella Labs, and I will refer to them as Labs, not Nest. Fucking Nest? No, Umbrella Labs. But I do thank you the fact that you are going through with the law. I just do not like the law. Fucking Nest. Absolutely grinds my gears when I hear the word Nest. It's like, it's not Nest, it's the Umbrella fucking Labs. It's always been the Labs for me, and I will never call it Nest, and I still don't refer to it as Nest even when I'm playing the remakes. It's the Umbrella Labs. Simple as. Okay. I think I've gone over and ranted a bit about that, but that's just my pet peeve when everybody mentions the word Nest to me. It's like, it's not the Nest, it's the Labs, the fucking Labs. So again, it's all spoilers, all of this that I'm going into now, so if you haven't played the bloody demo revisited, go and play the demo, because this is spoilers, so I'm going to, you know, let you cut off from here. I don't know when I'll carry on with it, but big spoiler at the end, obviously, when Trent gets through it all, going through that piped hallways, try to get to the mansion and the yawn attacks him. Again, setting up for the next part, which I can't wait for. That was frigging cool. The whole idea built up, the puzzle, getting the Serpent Stone, flipping the switch, and then whatever the hell that thing was that came out, I can assume was... I don't actually know what type of zombie it was. I kind of just dodged it at the end and ran through because I couldn't be arsed fighting it, because that was me still trying to get over it from when I cut the stream off, because I wanted to get it finished. Nice addition was the bats. They were brilliantly done, even though I know how obviously they were created. It's the idea that they've got bats in the underground, which was brilliant. As we see Mickey poke his head through the window and, you know, spying on Trent, seeing where he's getting up to with his sinister, you know, acting, which was brilliant. Still love those little bits that are there. All these little references, obviously Final Fantasy VIII, they were in there too, which I already know. He's a big thing for Elric. He absolutely loves Final Fantasy series just as much as I do, with the old ones anyway. So seeing some little tributes to Final Fantasy VIII was a plus as well, because they were subtle. So I've gone over that, so let me explain a bit about the cutscenes as well, because everyone keeps bitching about that, and I have gone over this before. It takes a lot of scripting to get those cutscenes to look as good as they do. And people don't realise this. They think it's just a case of press button, it's done. It's not like that. Everything's got to be processed, it's got to be tested, everything's got to work. There is so much work done. Let me give you an example, because it's everything I bring up every frigging time people shit and criticise, you know, scripting events. In Resident Evil 2, the original, the vanilla game, unmodified, when you've got the zombies on the basketball court who are bashing against the side of the gate, that gate isn't a solid mesh. It is literally just a mesh you can literally walk through. The only reason why it's solid is because there's a boundary in front of it that prevents you from going through and prevents the zombies from going out. And as soon as you run to where the trigger point is for that with the AOT trigger, that boundary moves. The gate shifts open and the cutscene plays where the zombies break out. Well, they're not actually breaking out. The boundaries move so they can move in. And that's just with God knows how much worth of scripting it is just to get that effect in play, because the engine's that, acrid and old school, and it is obviously bloody primitive compared to what we've got nowadays. And people bitch and moan, this mod shouldn't be taking this long, or, the cutscenes are crap. Well, I'm sorry, but they're fucking not. I'd like to see other people try and do what half the shit that's been done in this demo's been done, because it's fucking ludicrous what's been done with this. So there's that. The music, brilliant music. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any of it to use for this actual freaking review, so I'm going to have to keep it as is with this. Music was brilliant. I could hear some undertones of like Mission and Mashing, 1.5-esque music with, RE2 retail music and various other bits and pieces, and it fitted perfectly for the whole theme, the whole scenario that we had going. So the music was brilliant. Couldn't fault it in any shape or form, just like I can't fault the acting. I hate Nest, I've said this. The Hive was fine, although it gets confusing when you think of Outbreak, because that's also called The Hive. So when everybody went onto that movie and saw the scenario called The Hive, it's like, what? This is the movie's Hive. No, it's Raccoon General Hospital. Live action movies just went to shit, though. We won't even go over that. The first one and the second one are the only two decent ones. Anything after that... Anyway, going back onto Revisited. The backgrounds, I know these are getting slated, so I'm going to throw a bit more fucking plus into it. Anybody who criticises these backgrounds, who just says that they are Parasite Eve reuse, are fucking idiots. I'm sorry, but you are. The entirety of these backgrounds have been heavily modified to fit the theme that they are. And of course, it's not going to be the exact A Day in Raccoon. I know for a fact it's a lot different in its architecture and design to what it is in the Outbreak beta. And even though we haven't got that much data for it, there's still enough to get an idea of what it should look like. It's a very different take on it, and I'm not going to be pissed off about it. I know where it's from in Parasite Eve 2, because I've played the hell out of that. I still haven't completed it, but I have played the hell out of it. That doesn't bother me, because it's been heavily modified. It's a nice little... I call it an Easter egg of its own. But people bitch and moan, oh, it's Parasite Eve. Well, if it's Parasite fucking Eve too much for you, go and build your fucking own. Let me tell you, as somebody who's doing this doing project work with Project Starlight, who's been doing a project for the past 5 years of rebuilding all the stuff from RE3, it's not fucking easy. And it's people like you that just basically make my blood and my piss boil, because you've got no concept of how much work we put into this and how much passion we put into these projects, just to have yous lot come in, bitch and slay and moan about it because it's not to your standard. Build it to your fucking standard and do your own fucking mod then if it's not good enough. It's people like you, like I said, that piss me off. You don't know what the fuck goes into the process of building this stuff, and I've gone over it all on this exact stream. How difficult it can be, how much work actually goes into scripting. Let me remind you that this project was started in 2020 and it's only just had the demo release now. And that's how long it's taken to get all the scripting correct, to get it balanced, to have all the crazy puzzles it's got, to have all the cutscenes execute and trigger correctly, and have every single one of those variables check and double check and compare values to make sure that everything's fucking correct, and people bitch and moan about it because they don't have a fucking clue how the mechanics and the system works. So when I'm hearing people bitching about backgrounds that have been heavily modified and edited to make it look more like it's in Raccoon, there you go. It isn't the same. It's not Dryfield. It's not Parasite Eve. It's for Resident Evil Revisited. So end of fucking arguing with that, because it's fucking good for what they've done. Because clearly they haven't got an actual 3D artist to rebuild half of these rooms, and that's fair enough. So if you're going to use something that's similar, that's got the same look and feel, and that's the look and feel you want, and then you can heavily modify it to whatever need you want, you do it. So that's me, going over the backgrounds. The backgrounds for me personally all look brilliant. It fit perfectly, and on top of the slating of it, the fact that they had to then rebuild all of the fucking data so the boundary collisions all work correctly, But yet you're still bitching saying it's PS8. No, it's not. They had to rebuild all of the boundary data, all the collision data, because you can't extract that from Parasite Eve, I'm sorry to say. So again, fuck you for trying to be an arsehole about it, for half you people that are so mindless who just want your 10 seconds of fame by saying, like the mindless pissing zombies in Raccoon fucking City, half of yous lot. Again, a lot of work has gone into this project. You can tell that it's been done as a labour of love. And that's down to the texture designs for the enemies. It's to the way it's built in terms of mechanics, the way it's been created as a way of balance. Like I said, when I was playing through it, I was wondering why I couldn't equip the pistol, and obviously it's only going to let me equip the pistol until it needs me to, and then I got the pistol equipped, found the bullets, started to conserve my ammo. And it can be done, you don't have to kill everything. This is what these games have always been about. You don't have to kill every single enemy in a room. This isn't a blaster armor like Resident Evil 6. And it sure as fuck isn't anything like Resident Evil 6. Ugh. And here's another cool thing that I loved about it, and I did mention cutscenes. I loved the whole starting FMV where you seen Trent driving down that road. That's fucking ace. That was brilliantly rendered. That was fantastically done. Again, it's a whole different area of Raccoon. We haven't got any data to work with. We've only got written words. We haven't got an idea of what it would look like. So to have it there, built the way it is better than having nothing at all, is what I'm saying. It's ridiculous that this is getting so much slagged off because it's not to people's standards, because the BG's a Parasite Eve, and it's just like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, but unless you've actually sat there and built them yourself, you got no fucking leg to stand on. And that's me slagging you lot off and criticising you, now not even part of the project. There is nothing that can be fixed for this project apart from obviously what I already mentioned, which was the puzzles. That's my only issue, is that there was just too many puzzles to do it. And of course, because of that oversaturation of puzzles, it means now when you come up with something else, you have to try and up the ante from that. So that's my only problem with it. I think I already mentioned this, like I said before. It needs to be randomised to 2 puzzles max. Randomise those puzzles in order so only 2 of them work. And if I'm being honest with you, the other option I would do is, because you have a crowbar, and because in case you don't want to do the combination, you should make it so we can pry that locker open with the crowbar. Because that's the one thing I was trying to do, and it's like, in logical terms, if you were on a clock and you had to get to point A and B quickly, combination safes aren't going to be the thing that get in your way, so you're going to use something to pry open it, aren't you? So crowbar. Maybe implement that as an additional mechanic, an additional set of event triggers, something like that. But on the whole, I can't really fault it other than that, like I said. That's the only thing I have an issue with, is the puzzles themselves, because there's too many. Everything else was fantastic. And I can't wait to see more of this project. I've said this before though, after it's all been in development, seeing all the parts come together, seeing the boot being jammed, jacked up with the crowbar, and then obviously pressing the button and mashing it to open it. Yeah, I remember seeing that mechanic before any of this got released, and seeing all the scripture behind half the stuff that's actually gone into it, and it's a lot of work. It's a hell of a lot of work. So, yes, it did drive me a little bit insane when I couldn't get anywhere, and I explained why just now, right at the beginning of this review. On the whole, I did love it, because it felt like a Resident Evil game should, even though it's a mod, and that in itself, it takes a lot of time and effort to perfect. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say on Revisited. The entire project that gets mixed up with my project, and it's like, no, these are 2 different projects. But it happens, and it has happened. So, yeah. Which is why I've started using, obviously, capital R and E now for when it's my project, just so you can differentiate it just a little bit more, even though it's 2 different, ways of looking at it. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about Revisited. If you haven't played it, go and download it now. Give it a playthrough. And obviously show the support to the guys that have worked on this, because like I said, I'm working with a lot of them, well, some of them over on Project Starlight. We're still tinkering away with that when we got the bloody time. So you owe it to yourselves to play it. Make up your own judgment on it, but like I said, I won't let anybody slag off the BGs for this. I won't let anybody slag off the acting for this, because again, it's one of the first total conversion mods that's actually got released, because obviously from what I've been reading, During the Storm has actually been dropped, the development's been scrapped. And I know everybody was waiting for that one, but that's not happening anymore. That's gone. It's gone the way of friggin' Distant Memories did, unfortunately. So this is probably the only one that is, and obviously after that with Project Starlight, crossing my fingers that'll get as far as a demo, because we're still tinkering with that. Oh, God almighty. But yeah. Play it. Make up your own informed opinion on it. But support this project, because we need to have these projects supported. Community needs that push. It hasn't had it. You've got every single Resident Evil game in the modern times getting all these mods pushed and appreciated, but then the old school games don't get the love, the attention, the push, like when we're doing all of these, that they should do. It's like I've looked through it all, and this hasn't even gained traction yet anywhere in video game web pages, anything like that. It's not gained that traction. Project Starlight did with the flaming trailer, and that was, months ago. This gets a demo release. It's not getting the traction it should be, and that disappoints me and pisses me off at the same time, because this is something that needs to be pushed out there, shown to the masses, so that people are aware that, yeah, there are people that modify the old games, we're pretty much a crazy bunch that do it, but there is groups of us that do this. And he's like the first big, release, a demo that probably about 2 hours worth of gameplay. Again, download it, make your own opinion of it. But if you do appreciate, like I say, support this project, support the modders who work in the old school part of the modding community, because, there isn't that many of us that push that much. Or like in the case of me, I gave up, and I kind of come back on and off because I'm semi-retired, because some parts of me wants to do it, other parts of me just like, no, I can't be bothered. But with Project Starlight, it's like full-time commitment to it. As I said, I am doing the background work for that. Don't mind doing it. I might even be doing a bit of it later. I just won't be streaming it because I just need to do some texture work. But crux of it is, this is a good mod. Although I'm not even going to refer to it as a mod, I'm going to say it's a good original story. It needs to be played. It needs more development, obviously, in terms of it will be, so all the story can be told, and that I'm looking forward to. I can't wait to see more of that. And that's just basically my words, my thoughts, my opinions on it after playing through it yesterday. And that's all I have to really say about it.